Hi, friends. How's everyone doing today? I got up not that long ago. Just made myself a cup of coffee here. Hold on. I'm gonna I'm gonna grab my son in a little while. We're gonna spend the weekend together, go watch a movie, have some fun and stuff. But I don't know why I just had this flash in my mind not that long ago after I got up, and that gave me the idea to make this video. So, life is good. And I know, I know a lot of you are gonna be like, yeah, right, right. And we all have those moments, right? But it's because we have this tendency to just always focus on the bad side of things and never look at the bright side and all the good that comes out of everything, including the bad stuff. Because there's always a lesson to be learned from everything in this life. And that includes the bad stuff as well. And it's like it's not that hard to, instead of looking at the bad things, how about we look at the good things and all the positive stuff that has happened in our lives throughout our entire lives. I will never forget when I watched the last movie of The Lord of the Rings from the trilogy The Return of the King. I actually own those movies and I always watch them every year, more than once per year, because I like the message that those movies give to people. I like what it represents. I really enjoy Tolkien's vision of humanity and all the goodness that exists within it, and how he wrote his stories of his characters, and how certain characters represent certain psychological archetypes, different types of man, like Aragorn, Éomer, Theoden, all the hobbits. They all represent different types of people, and they're all good and special in their own way. But there's a scene that stuck with me at the end of, towards the end of the third movie, which was when Frodo collapses, when they're like on their way to the forge on Mount Doom to get rid of the ring, right? And then Sam Sam breaks down and he's like, and he starts saying that, you know, how there is still good in this world, and how it's like worth living life for. And he goes on about, I don't remember the whole speech that he gives, but he's basically saying how that alone is why, life is worth living for. And then he goes on to say that, he tells Frodo, and Frodo's collapsed, he can't even hear him. He's like, I can't carry the ring for you. Basically, he was saying that was a metaphor for he could not carry his friend's burdens for him in a way. That's one way to interpret what's happening there. And then he picks Frodo up, and he's like, I can't carry the ring for you, but I can carry you. And he picks him up and puts him on his shoulder, and he just, you know, keeps going with his friend on his shoulder. So he's carrying his friend because his friend couldn't go anymore. And that scene specifically, and this was years ago that I've seen this on the theaters. I don't even remember when this came out, but I know it's been a good 10 years at least. At least I remember how emotionally triggering that scene was for me personally. You know, I had to refrain myself, and I still had tears going down my eyes from just watching that, because it made me feel what Tolkien was conveying on his writing about the goodness of humankind. Yeah, and this is why, I'm making this video, because I'm pretty sure I made a video like that quite some time ago. It was one of my first ones as well, where I talk about how life is the greatest gift. And because it is, life is good. Listen, every person on the face of this earth goes through their issues, their problems, their share fare of karma, whatever you want to call it. Um, Consequences for their own actions. All this stuff I've been talking about for a long time now. And what people usually always forget during times like that is that nothing in this life lasts forever. And everything is energy. Energy never ceases to exist. It only transforms into something else. It's always there. And instead of us, focusing on all the bad things and having this bad habit of looking back, because we all do that, right? To one extent or another. Some do more than others. Some do way more than they should. And the perfect scenario is we shouldn't be doing that at all, because I've said this in the past, the past doesn't matter. It already happened. What is the point of focusing on things like that and looking at things like that? The past doesn't matter. The past is the past. People do that a lot for all sorts of reasons. But people do that a lot when it comes down to past romantic relationships and stuff like that. Thinking that's gonna make a difference and change anything, and it doesn't. You're only increasing your suffering, torturing yourself, making the grief worse for no reason whatsoever, just because you can't let go of stuff. You can't accept things as they happened. Just move on. There's no point. And instead, look at all the good things that came out of things, including things that didn't work out, because there's always something that you have learned. There is always a lesson. There is always a moral of the story in everything we do in this life. including all the good and all the bad. And overall, at the end of the day, at the end of the journey, it's always going to be a good experience no matter what. So think of it as in terms of life is one big, great adventure. Enjoy it, live it to the fullest. Go out, do things you haven't done 10 years ago, 20 years ago. Who cares? Go out, do something exciting. Do something that makes you feel good. Whatever that is, go out there, go eat a nice meal at a restaurant, go out to some nature park somewhere, go to an amusement park, whatever you feel like doing it, that you think you're gonna have fun doing it, that you're gonna have a good time with yourself and perhaps maybe even somebody else. Enjoy it. Because one thing is for certain, we don't know what tomorrow brings. We don't know what's gonna happen tomorrow or the day after. We don't even know if we're gonna be here tomorrow. So we should get the most out of it no matter what. Yeah, and it's like nobody looks at things this way anymore. I don't know why though. I mean, there's some of us that still do, obviously, right? But probably includes some of the people watching this right now, but people forgot these things. I don't know what happened along the way that caused this to be a thing. It's kind of like when we're kids and very young, right? When we're children, 3, 4, 5, 6 years old. Everything is exciting, everything is awesome. We're always enjoying ourselves in the most beautiful ways because that's what kids do, right? And do you want to know why they do these things? It's because at that point, we still have this memory and remembrance of how great of a gift this life is for all of us. So at that point in our lives, we're just enjoying ourselves and having a good time. Because at that point in our lives, we don't have anything to worry about. We're not thinking about which bill do I gotta pay tomorrow? Is my rent due yet? Do I have enough to pay my mortgage? All these things, right, that people worry about in their lives because of whatever is going on. So when you're young, you don't have any of these worries, and because you're in that state of absolute joy, happiness, and pure freedom, you just want to have fun and have a good time. And it's okay to do that, even when bad stuff is happening. So if you haven't had a joyful moment in your life for a while, this is your wake up call to go out there and do something like that. Because life is short, my friends. Time goes by really, really fast. And we have to enjoy every moment, every minute, every waking hour. Because that's the point. And this is really all I wanted to talk about when it comes down to this one. So, if you like the content, don't forget to like, hit that like button, you know, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. I love you all. Never stop loving yourselves, and I will catch you all on the next one. Take care, my friends.